Hi folks, it's been a long time since I made a video, but there was an article out today that I thought I just had to respond to while we're out here in sunny Hawaii. Many of you remember WorldNet Daily, or as they call themselves now, WND, the news site that popularized a lot of the goings-on back in 2010, 2011, and so on. Most recently in the 2012 elections, they backed the Dominionist Mormon candidate known as Ted Cruz. And we'd like to just talk about that a minute today. It seems that WorldNet Daily can't get enough of being pro-Trump now. They seem to have forgotten how much they were absolutely determined to prevent Trump from taking office or get the nomination back just a few months ago. And so this brings up a very interesting thing I'd like to talk about just for a second, and that's media and who owns it and who pays for it. Because a few years before the 2012 election, we had the people on the globalist rhino side of the bench pushing for war with Iran. And WND was one of the major outlets for this story. They had some people who were supposedly ex-Iranian special ops experts or some such thing, who turned out to be Israeli agents in the counterterrorism division promoting fake news. Not the term fake news like we throw around today, actual operations where people were manufacturing fake news, setting up personalities to be media celebrities, publishing books under that name that put forward their philosophy and ideals, setting up websites. So they had 2 or 3 authors who were going around pushing the war with Iran, kind of like the curveball guy leading up in the war to Iraq, who turned out to be a government agent who was pretending to be an Iraqi. This guy was a government agent, this one in particular, who actually worked for the Israeli Defense Forces. Well, inadvertently we exposed this because he was publishing stories about chemical weapons plants in Iran that were so completely and heinously put together that a 6-year-old with Google Earth could prove the guy was lying. And suddenly, once the connection was made, because this guy couldn't control his public appearances well enough to keep him and his alter ego out of the same city on the same day, then he disappeared, and his books were pulled, and he wound up on some minor website out in Seattle, Washington, or some such place, and the whole thing was wiped away. Well, WND, under Mr. Joe Farrar, published the birther movement extensively. His in-house writer and lawyer published half a dozen books probably using our stories and our material, for which they paid no one except themselves. And now, this week, they published a story about how Malik Obama, who was President Obama's half-brother, supposedly released an image that was a copy of his Kenyan birth certificate, and the Kenyan birth certificate, surprise, turned out to be fake. Why? Why is this news? Why is it published? Even if Malik Obama did put out this birth certificate, which I'm kind of doubting, what purpose would it serve Mr. Obama's half-brother to do this? He would make no profit from it. It would not help his standing with his family, obviously. So I have to wonder if this is just not another attempt to distract people so that they can cash in on some more money. WND is tied in with both the Israeli government and several members of the United States Congress and Senate. They are tied in with a dozen or more think tanks over on K Street in Washington, D.C. WND and several other sites like them on the internet are paid for by government entities, both American and foreign. When we put this out on the air, A few years ago, we were met with overwhelming silence. But in the last few weeks, with the disclosure of Vault 7 and other documentation showing the widespread, nationwide spread, reach of government intelligence agencies inside corporate America, using these private corporations as government entities to invade your life and gather data and intel on the American public and on foreign nationals, including members of your Congress, members of your Senate, members of the presidential administration, both the current and previous ones. They call this the deep state or whatever term they want to use. These are the bureaucrats. They are using your tax money to spy on you by using private paid corporations. This is illegal, but I don't see anyone going to jail. We never do. Therein lies the problem. We have institutions and corporations in this country paid for by you, the American taxpayer, like universities, like our own University of Hawaii here in this state, who are carrying out a political agenda at the hand of agents of this government. That all right with you? That acceptable to you, liberal person? That acceptable to you, conservative person? Really? Why are my tax dollars supporting someone who's committing a felony against me? Why are we paying for these institutions to exist? Why are we allowing these corporations to operate inside the United States? Why have their licenses not been pulled? Why have their operations not been forced to close? Money, jobs, commerce. Strange how the government can't police itself very well, can they? Oh yeah, people have been telling you about this for the past decade, but nothing ever gets done. So the next time you look on one of these news sites, whether it be the MSN or the alt media or whatever else you want to call them nowadays, remember this. Someone's getting money from somewhere. They're not making their money off of private advertising. They're not making their money off sales. They're getting paid. They have agendas, and you are still being manipulated. Thank you.